I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for another BDSM United podcast in our BDSM Horror Story miniseries, where we're really trying to prevent your own BDSM horror story from even taking place. So we wanted to tell you about the risks that are involved in our lifestyle. And we started this series talking about some of the using a BuzzFeed mini quiz to talk about would you rather this or that, and we transitioned into talking about ethics and mottos of safety. We transitioned from that into talking about risks and accidents. And today we really want to build upon this with identifying for you which kinks are most dangerous. What do you think they are? The kinks that make it on most people's limit lists just automatically are things that have to do with blood and feces and urine. Surprisingly enough, with the types of things that come out of a person, things like water sports, scat, those types of things, blood play, cutting needles, those kinds of things make it on people's hard limit lists or soft limit lists more than anything else. But surprisingly enough, they are not the most risky or the most cause of BDSM accidents. No, but the thing that most beginners try and do first, the things that most new people try very first, the first things that they try to do, surprisingly enough, are also the most dangerous and lead to the most accidents in industry and injuries. Did you know scenes involving impact play are the leading cause of accidents and injuries? That's the thing that most people start with, whether from spanking, paddling, whipping, caning, just about any item. A lot of times, a lot of really bad DIY stuff like wooden spoons and things that cause splinters and things that that hold bacteria, the things that are not body safe materials are used, but those account for 35% of all accidents witnessed. 28% or experienced 38%. So the most accidents that people have both seen and also experienced for themselves fall within impact play. Secondly, the second thing that people try is tying their partner up, using some handcuffs or bedroom bondage. Bondage and rope suspensions come in second, accounting for 26% of all accidents witnessed or experienced. Rough body play, cock and ball torture, and emotional S&M are the third leading scene for accidents, with 11% each. So the things that everyone tries first: impact play, bondage, rough sex, those are the things that cause the most accidents and injuries. I don't know if that's because that the most number of people are doing those things or what. Usually, like we said, it was in a previous episode, lack of knowledge, over-eagerness, distractions, overconfidence. Those are the things that get us in trouble. So the most dangerous kink is often considered the least risky. When ranking the activities most likely to cause an accident, almost a quarter of kinksters consider impact play the least dangerous activity alongside things like hypnosis. No kinky people consider impact play the most dangerous activity. While hypnosis may not have featured in any of the reported accidents, impact play leads the way as the cause of a third of all injuries. In spite of this, only around 1% deem impact play too risky to participate in personally, even though 39% of kinksters believe it to be one of the leading causes of injuries. And they're right. Similarly, 62% of kinksters consider bondage and rope suspension to be a leading cause of injury, but only 1 in 5 say that bondage is too risky to participate in. Conversely, the kink activities considered most dangerous, breath play at 43% and gun play at 22%, only account for between 8 and 1% of accidents. You hear that right? Yeah. Things that we consider the most dangerous, and maybe that's because we don't do them as much, but I don't think so, because I know a lot of people that practice breath play. But those things only account for 8 to 1% of accidents. As a result of this perceived danger, more than half of kinksters don't participate in breath play because of the risk, and only 2/3 of kinksters avoid gun play. This would account for how few accidents are reported in those things, but also suggests a level of complacency regarding impact play in bondage. Do more accidents happen because people take for granted that it's one of the safest forms of play? I don't know. That's a good question to ask, a good thing to consider. But, bondage and impact have a huge perceived danger. Very few people are avoiding those activities, yet they're also reporting the most number of accidents and injuries because of bondage and impact. While the perceived danger of breath play and gun play is also high, most people avoid those activities, and there's not as many accidents reported. It's just interesting to look at the numbers and to see. Considering a kink activity dangerous doesn't stop kinky people from doing it. Looking at the risks of kink and BDSM and the likelihood of an injury, it would make sense that witnessing or experiencing an accident would deter kinky people from taking part in the activity, yet only 1 in 4 kinksters are deterred from an activity where they've seen or experienced things going wrong across all levels of experience and all lengths of service in the lifestyle. 3/4 of kinksters get right back in the saddle, either as a bottom, a top, or versatile. Isn't that interesting? So when we see or experience, when we witness someone else being injured or having an accident, it does not deter us from trying it ourselves. We often, I think, have a little bit of an ego, a little bit of an overconfidence that, well, I won't make the mistakes that they make. And yet, it accounts for the most injuries and accidents when people do bondage and impact. So who's most at risk in kink and BDSM? Well, you'll be happy to know that gender has no influence on experiencing an accident, but it often does on witnessing one. Although more than 2/3 of non-cisgenders attend and or participate in events, only 15% witness an accident, compared to around 30% of cisgenders, accounting for the worldwide average gender split as of 2020. So, while they may witness twice as many accidents, the split between male and female witnesses is almost 50-50, with slightly more males witnessing accidents than females, despite both genders attending in equal numbers. What's interesting is that the likelihood of experiencing an accident in kink and BDSM falls pretty evenly between cisgendered males, cisgendered females, and non-cisgendered persons. Females experience an accident only a tiny fraction more than males. People who are non-cisgender, non-binary, they only experience just a slightly higher than cisgendered females. We got males at 32% cisgendered, cisgendered females at 33%, and everyone else, non-cisgenders, at 35%. So gender doesn't really have a big influence on experiencing an accident. Depending on who you are and how you identify may allow you to, may mean that you might be more likely to witness one. Now, females and submissive type persons have their safe word ignored the most, which is pretty likely because a lot of times there is a lack of teaching and a lack of knowledge, even amongst people who have been in the lifestyle for a long time, that dominants also have the ability to safe word. So, they're not, with less dominant people are using safe words. So there's going to be less of them being ignored. And so that's just interesting to know. It says more than half of switches, or those who are versatile, experience accidents in their scenes, while those who identify as S-types on the right side of the slash, submissives, bottoms, masochists, are more than twice as likely to experience an accident as those who identify as switches. Those identifying as switches report an accident in more than half of their scenes, 55%, followed by D-types on the left side of the slash, dominants, tops, and sadists in 41% of their scenes, and S-types in 38% of their scenes. So, it goes to say that consistency is key. And while versatility is wonderful, and it is a great way to be able to express yourself, make sure that you have an extra burden on yourself to be that much more knowledgeable and that much more aware of the things that are being done to you and the things that you are doing. So you have an extra responsibility if you're versatile. It's not, it's not good enough just to know the things that you do as a D-type or as a top, and then be able to ignore or just, go with the flow of things as an S-type or a bottom. So in other words, if you're a switch, if you're versatile, then you have an increased responsibility to know both sides of the slash when both giving and the receiving parts of kinks, in order to avoid accidents and injuries being done to you. Keeping yourself and your partner safe is part of being a responsible kinky person. It's part of being a part of our BDSM community, and understanding what might go wrong is definitely a first step in mitigating those risks. You probably didn't realize how risky and how many accidents and injuries are reported in bondage and impact play. So you definitely want to take more time and consideration in learning those things and learning how to do those things so that you're doing them and you're not the ones causing or experiencing injuries and accidents. And, while the perceived danger is huge for breath play and gun play, and quite rightly so, people who perceive a danger report fewer accidents because they are going into the action with more safety. They've planned more. So take that same level of perceived danger into your bondage and your impact scenes, and take greater care to be safer when practicing those kinks. I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for this BDSM United podcast in our BDSM Horror Story series, where we're trying to prevent your own BDSM horror story. You can find all of our resources and all of our educational tools at bdsmunited.com. And you can also visit our not safe for work, kinky, sexy, uncensored blog at mastersaturn.com. It was a joy speaking with you today, and I will talk with you again soon.